Y'all should know that I love talking about these birth rate stories and how the birth rate is plummeting to hell in some of these countries because many of these countries are in their find out season. So, this article is coming out of Newsweek. Japan releases more alarming data in population update. The birth rate in Japan continued to plummet to hell in the first half of this year, deepening a trend Tokyo says will be irreversible by the next decade. Asia's second largest economy faces a severe demographic challenge with its aging population poised to strain social welfare and threaten a number of industries, including education. National and local governments have introduced measures like increased childcare spending and immigration reforms to counter the crisis. Listen to this, y'all. Japan recorded 350,074 births between January and June, an almost 6% drop compared to last year, according to the health ministry data. This figure is the lowest since 1969, when Tokyo began reporting the biannual statistic. So that's 350,000. Okay, let's go to the next page. This part right here. Meanwhile, there were 811,819 deaths that were reported in the super age society. So only 350,000 babies were born during that time span. And during that same time span, over 811,000 people had died. So that means that more people died than were born in Japan. So that means that this country is probably about to really start contracting. All right, so a rise in deaths of nearly 2% from January to June in the period of 2023, another 55-year record, according to local media. Japanese Health Minister Keizo Takemi called the situation extremely critical at a press conference Tuesday. He warned that the number of young people will sharply decrease in the 2030s. The 2030s is right around the corner. Calling the next 6 years Japan's last chance. We are constantly thinking about how to implement effective measures to address the declining birth rate without waiting for this period. Nothing that I have read has says we're going to change the work culture. We're going to change this extreme patriarchy that oppresses women. We're not going to talk about the conditions where women are typically the caretakers for everybody's elderly parents. Women know and understand that by signing up to get married, because in Japan there's no babies without marriage, they know that by signing up to be married, that they are basically becoming the caretakers for everybody. So at what point are these people going to take all of that into consideration and why women are opting out? He stressed that the ministry has requested a budget including measures to raise wages among younger Japanese and expand access to childcare and postnatal parental leave to encourage child rearing. These statistics were released as Japan's parliament approved a revision to legislation aimed at boosting support for current parents and expanding financial aid, parental leave, and childcare access. See, none of this is addressing the cultural issues that women are seemingly pushing back against. They are not talking about the landscape that is making it so that women don't want to have babies in this country, even with all the money that they are throwing at it. It says funding will come from the $34 billion earmarked for childcare and family support in fiscal year 2024. The government plans to allocate $23 billion in taxes towards this effort over 3 years. But what effort have they done to talk to women and change the culture? Still, we're listening for that. Still listening for that part. Here's a graph of East Asia's declining birth rate from 1973 through 2023. So it looks like Japan is the one that's way up here with close to 5 births per woman back in 1973. And it has dropped dramatically. You can see they're all down here below the replacement rate. Every last one of them, with South Korea being even worse off than most of these other places. And it looks like North Korea has the highest, but I don't know the total amount of babies. I don't really see too many articles coming out about North Korea. But you can see they all have dropped pretty dramatically, with the exception of, what is this? Japan wasn't particularly high. It's just kind of leveled off. It was literally just above 2 in 1973, and it dropped, but it wasn't particularly high like some of these other countries that had births per woman above 3 over here. All right, y'all. So there's that graph. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida has made boosting the birth rate a national priority, previously pledging to double the national childcare spending within a decade. Analysts have noted that Japanese policymakers have concentrated on helping families with children, but have not addressed the concerns of younger people who are hesitant to start families due to career pressures and financial challenges. Simple economic support, such as increasing benefits, will not easily solve the serious problem of the declining birth rate. Economist Takahide Kiuchi wrote in a June report for Japan's Nomura Research Institute. The economist noted that Japan's conservative mindset surrounding child rearing, particularly the heavy burden placed on women, needs to change. More than 80% of women take parental leave compared to just 14% of men, most of whom take less than 2 weeks. The fertility rate in Japan, or average number of children expected per woman during her lifetime, dipped to a record low of 1.2 last year. Meanwhile, people aged 65 and over now account for 30% of the population, making Japan a so-called super-aged society. Japan's going to have a hell of a time changing culture. You can keep throwing money at this if you want to. That is not going to change women's minds, especially when they know that they are going to be responsible for this super aged population that they keep talking about. At no point in time are they saying we have got to get the men on board with doing more in the household, that they have to take on more of the responsibility of the care for elderly parents. We're not seeing where they are talking about how women can still be involved in their careers after having babies. I'm not seeing anything targeted at culture, just throwing money at things when at the very end we finally hear where these women are not being heard. This where it says particularly the heavy burden placed on women. They're going to want to get to this place where they have some babies crying and playing, but what's going to happen, and what many of these forced birther states are going to see, they're going to see women continuing to opting out. They're going to see their states, if we're in the United States, and I keep doing these for a purpose, because some of these states are also going to start seeing more deaths than births as they run women out, as they run physicians out. They're going to see their schools being empty, real estate sitting up there empty, because who's going to want to be in a place where the burden is on women for all of this stuff? The find out season is here, and we're going to continue to report on it. Jump in the comments. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.